The key is the hook, and then everything has to have a story. Everything in business you have to create a story for people to buy into, to believe in, because something's got to resonate with them, and if you can get something to resonate with them, that's where the loyalty lies.
Well, that's what you two. What's going on, guys? Welcome to Own the Chaos. My name is Brad. This is Christian. This is another installment of the Barcast. We are here at the Horse You Came In On Saloon,
Baltimore, Maryland.
Baltimore, Maryland. By the way, I'm going to give another fun fact about the horse. We should be doing this every time because there's so many fun facts about the horse. Jack Daniels, the #1 distributor of Jack Daniels, right?
Jack Daniels in Spanish.
Yes, the #1 distributor of Jack Daniels in the world. The world, right?
So here's how you have to say it. So it's per square foot.
It's what?
Per square foot.
Per square foot.
Yes.
What do you mean?
So like there are gigantic places that sell more, but yeah.
So almost kind of like per capita.
Exactly.
I got you.
Exactly.
I got
you. No, it's not even close. With that said, if you look at the top Jack Daniels accounts, just volume based. The horse is like top 10, and the only ones that are better give it away. There's casinos in Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
So they give it away. So those are the accounts that actually do more volume.
Well, what I think is cool is that you could literally buy your own bottle of Jack.
You know what I think is cool?
What?
I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, you can, and I'm gonna pan to this. I'm gonna show you the bottles of
Jack Daniels Club, the old #7 club.
Right, the old #7 club. You go buy yourself a bottle of Jack, and it's on the shelf for any time you want to come in here, right? And then and
you own the bottle.
You can give it to your friends or whatever when they come in.
Didn't we talk about this?
Not on camera, no.
Really? Oh, I mean it is probably the greatest thing I ever did in my career of hospitality.
That was you?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So there you go. That was Christian's idea. So I'll show you the shelf. It's a really cool looking shelf. The bottle's yours.
We should talk about that. This is a good learning lesson, especially for people who want to have bars. So Fells Point is the historic neighborhood of Baltimore City, and it's bars. It's just a ton of bars, so it's super competitive. And I learned a long time ago, bars, you have to have a hook. There has to be something different. So there was history behind the horse when we started it, but when I came on, I was the first.
Edgar Allan Poe and all that, right?
Yeah. So all right. So a few sort of tidbits about the history of the horse. It was where Edgar Allan Poe had his last drink before he died. So we get a ton of tourists in here. I still work here.
Yeah.
So you get a ton of tourists in here, just because it was where Edgar Allan Poe used to frequent. And so that's history. It's supposedly haunted. There's a Poe ghost that's supposed to be on the second floor.
Right.
And there are actually people who truly, truly believe it. Like, you can't convince them otherwise.
Really?
And there's some crazy stories. We'll get into them another time. But I don't believe in ghosts, but yeah, it's haunted. It's one of three. Oh, so it's the longest continuously operated saloon in North America.
Okay.
It's one of 3 bars that in the U.S. that have existed before, during, and after Prohibition. So it existed during Prohibition as an active saloon. And that's a lot of history. It's been around since 1775. So there's a lot of
1775?
stuff. 1775.
Holy shit. So before we were even a country.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes. So as we're filming this is 2 days before Independence Day, which is very timely to have this conversation.
Yeah.
It's insane when you think about
what this place has survived too, because if you guys don't know the history of America, War of 1812 was fought right out there.
Yeah.
Fort McHenry, so this building's still standing, which is.
Baltimore has a lot of history.
We're always known for our guns and drugs, but that's just modern day.
Yeah. So all right, so I knew the owner had purchased the bar. It's been maybe 12 years now, but he purchased the bar, and I was the first general manager of the new regime.
Yeah.
When I started, it was not the busy, right now if you come to the horse, there's a line down the block on any given Friday or Saturday.
Oh my God, yeah, easy.
And so
you got to push your way in here.
It wasn't it wasn't like that at the time.
Yeah.
So when I started, I felt like I needed to have a hook. Now there was a history hook, but that gets people in during the day, and we weren't even really promoting that history.
Right.
So what I decided was, what I knew was when I walked through the bars, I thought of it as like a traditional saloon. And so it even has like, it had at the time the double swinging doors.
Nice.
And so the first thing my mind went to was like the old spaghetti westerns where like the cowboy walks into the saloon, sits at the bar, and what always happened? The bartender put a bottle of whiskey down, and and the person, the cowboy would pour his whiskey.
Right. Oh, yeah, right.
It's illegal in Maryland. You can't pour your own whiskey, but I wanted to create that feel. Like that's what I knew the bar had to be, was a whiskey bar, and it had to feel that way. Well, what I looked at was there was another bar around the street called One-Eyed Mike's, which sells the most Grand Marnier in the world. Not per capita, it sells the most Grand Marnier in the world. They started a Grand Marnier club. So I can't even I wasn't the first person that came up with the idea of a club, but they were killing it. So I actually went to the owner of that, it's called One-Eyed Mike's. I went to the owner, Mike, and I basically just asked for his blessing to use the idea. Told him what I wanted to do, and he was really gracious. We're all a tight-knit family down here, so he let me run with it. So then I went to the whiskey companies, and I was like, all right, I need to reach out to suppliers and find somebody who, believes in the vision and who sees the vision. Well, I knew I wanted Jack. Like deep down, I wanted Jack. So I reached out to Jack, Jim, and Johnny. And then Bullet Whiskey caught wind of the idea, and so they wanted to jump in the mix. And Johnny didn't seem like that rough, rugged, but I wanted some competition. It's a
little more sophisticated, I think.
Yeah, so I wanted some competition. So I had like the local Bullet, which is from Maryland. I had the Johnny, which is a higher end, and Jim, which is a direct competitor of Jack, and Jack. And I'll tell you, Bullet saw it a little bit. Nobody truly saw the vision.
Yeah.
But Bullet saw it a little bit. Johnny didn't. Jim didn't really. They were like, yeah, we'll get in. But keep in mind, we weren't doing that much volume.
Right.
We were doing 6 bottles of Jack a week, which is not a lot.
No.
And so
that's nothing.
Jack, I don't know if they necessarily saw it, but like they believed in the same things I believed in. They believed in a partnership, and they wanted to grow it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, 3 years in, we crushed it. We went from 6 bottles at that point to 6 cases, 72 bottles in the course of like a year and a half. A week, we're doing 72 bottles a week. And now they're doing, I can't even imagine how much they're doing now. But in a year and a half, we flipped it. And what I said was, I'm like, I have this idea where I want to recreate this idea of you owning your own bottle, and it's a whiskey bar. This has to be a whiskey bar. And so we started with this, they built a case, and we had 77 slots, and it went 3 deep, right? So, whatever that is, like 200 and some bottles, and we just started selling them. And so we started there where people started owning their bottles, and what we do is you'd come in, you'd say, I want to own a bottle, you'd pay $100 to start, and every new bottle, that was like your intro fee, you got a bottle, and then you got like a card, and we gave you some swag. And then every renewal bottle was $75, which was an awesome deal if you broke it down per shot cost. And that was your bottle. You had a bottle number with the card. You could skip line. And then when you came in, you didn't pay for anything. It was your bottle. Mixers were free. So you'd buy a round of shots, and your bottle had already been paid for. All you did was tip.
That's awesome.
The best part about it was we're built on relationships. Let's say your friends were in town, or better yet, you were a business person and you had a client you wanted to send to the horse, but you weren't there.
Yeah.
You'd give them your bottle number, and you had a password, and they could access your bottle.
It's kind of like a speakeasy almost.
Exactly.
So that's awesome.
So it was the best thing where you'd come into town, and I wasn't there. I'd be like, yo, stop at the horse, tell them my bottle number, password, and you'd feel like a king.
Right.
And so that was cool. It was a cool hook. It didn't blow us up. What blew us up was Fireball was hot. Yeah. And I'm really loyal to my partners, so Jack Daniels, Fireball was a direct competitor to Jack Daniels.
Right.
So I couldn't bring it in, but every customer, like every night, it was our most common call was Fireball. And we had to tell people, we don't carry it. Bartenders were getting frustrated because they're like, this is money walking out the door. So I called Jack, my contact at Jack Daniels, and I was like, listen, we can't keep doing this game. I don't want to bring in Fireball, but I might have to.
Yeah.
What do you got? And he's like, well, Annapolis, this bar in Annapolis actually has a recipe for a cinnamon whiskey, and it was called. We called it Tennessee Fire, but it was called something else.
Yeah.
And they like number 7 whiskey or something. And so we got a recipe, and we're like, let's do whiskey infusions. And we started with that, and then we decided to expand it, and we did apple, we had the cinnamon, we did lemon, we did honey whiskey before honey whiskey was bottled, and that was our best one. Honey whiskey was ridiculous. And we started mixing them, honey cinnamon, and it blew up.
I had no idea. That's where that it all started here.
And now we're on the Cantina side, which didn't exist back
Right.
then, but the Cantina side was built as a tequila side.
Yeah, so if you guys can see this, this
you have
is tequila
the
infusions.
Tequila infusions, and then you have the Jack Fire, which we used to call Tennessee Fire, the Jack Fire, which is in the barrel there. So
that's awesome.
They make it in-house, and that's how we really were able to blow up. And I mean, the numbers are insane. The amount of volume this place does, people don't realize.
Oh, I mean, I do. I mean, I've been down here a couple of times on a Friday, Saturday night, and you got to wedge yourself in, your shoulder to shoulder, you know?
But it's all Jack. It's Jack and Jack infusions. It's crazy.
That's awesome.
But it's the power
of... what a story. It's a really cool story.
But it's the power of, like, knowing what you are and know what you want your brand to be, and just being hell-bent on finding people that understand at least a little bit of the vision and direction and want to grow. And, I mean... the guy who approved that, his name was Dustin. Brown Forman's a company that manages a portfolio that includes Jack. He's since moved on, but like that's got to help you a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
If you were the one that sort of executed that, and now
putting that on a resume, I mean, damn, dude.
I wrote. I got my MBA at University of Baltimore. I actually did a paper. I was published about the story of that, like how we built relationships through the Jack Daniels Club. Yeah, it's on it's actually on my LinkedIn. If you look at my LinkedIn, I wrote it with a professor. Well, he wrote it, but I gave him all the details, and I mean, we did so much. We had when I was getting my MBA, we used to go to Switzerland. We went to Switzerland, and I did one of the exchange programs for like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and we would alternate semester to semester. So our students would go there, and then their students would come here.
Right.
And when I was a manager, I became friends with the Swiss program lead, and he would come and he would bring, his name was Claude, like he would bring students here, and I would actually they would spend a day, I would come in, speak to the students about the Jack Daniels Club, and from a business perspective, and then they would come in at night and they would hang out, and it was awesome. Like we'd have a group of like 20 Swiss students and faculty that would come hang out, and they owned a bottle. They still do own a bottle.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
That's so crazy.
There's so many stories, like, and that's what you have to have.
You should be owning this place, but
well, the owner's awesome. Like, he's a really good friend of mine.
We should have him on one day.
I think I will. But the key is the hook, and then everything has to have a story. Everything in business has to. You have to create a story for people to buy into, to believe in, because they want to, something's got to resonate with them, and if you can get something to resonate with them, that's where the loyalty lies.
Well, that's why YouTube's so successful, right? Because billions of stories are on there, and you got the people that are most successful, I guess I would argue probably has the most interesting story. But I think if people can relate to you, and we talk about this all the time as far as building relationships, that's what it's all about. And this example is a testament to how building relationships leads to success in a business.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you're right. Like, if anybody comes to Baltimore, hit me up. Well, I'll bring you down here to the horse.
Yeah.
It's just it's an awesome experience.
You should get a WeChat HQ bottle.
I should. You come here for the experience. I mean, the bar's awesome. There's like all kinds of hilarious signs everywhere. Like, the experience itself is probably one of the coolest parts about Fells Point.
And the owner does a great job of, Eric, he does a great job of keeping it fresh, keeping it up. A lot of people have success, and they see success, and they kind of rest on their laurels. Eric is always in here trying to make it better, keeping it clean, like always making improvements. And that doesn't happen a lot with bars, is like they just kind of keep status quo. Yeah. That's what I'll say is like, he's always... he wins in the details. I think that's what makes him successful, is his ability to win in the details and to always want to get better, even though I believe it's the best bar in Baltimore. That's my opinion.
I would argue that.
So, but he's never settling. So props to him for always making it better and always, thinking about how to make his bar, get to that next level.
I just want to know how he gets it to smell like this.
The amount of research that guy, Eric will spend hours on
this place smells
research.
like amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it, but like I will take all my equipment home, open up my gear, and it still smells like the horse.
Like baby angel feathers.
Something along those lines.
Like baby angel feathers.
You just start spraying it around or what? But yeah.
No, actually, every morning at 5 a.m., they have little baby angels that fly through the bar, and they put little angel dust, and it smells like that. And you actually, he's cornered the market on baby angel.
Yeah, I guess.
Scent.
Yeah, he's definitely got that down. I think the first thing I said when I walked in here one day was like, "Why does this place smell like?" Sorry, that was my alarm. Why does this place smell like a French whore? That was one of my lines when I first walked in here.
Oh,
but yeah, like even, it's crazy how it seeps into even just like the metal pieces of my equipment. I open it up and it just like smacked you in the face. Like, oh, this was at the horse. It's crazy. It is crazy. I don't know how this whole podcast turned into about the horse, but I'm kind of digging it right now.
People don't really understand sensory experience and, the lighting, sound. You can appreciate this in video, like lighting, sound, smell, taste. I was thinking.
There's live music here every day, and I'm sure you can hear it in the background. I think it adds to the nostalgia of this cast now. Yeah. It's like I'm just owning it. You hear the noise in the background, it bothers you, you get the hell on out of here. It's what's cool. Yeah, these chicks are good.
I think it's
got some Stevie Nicks earlier.
I think it's actually a guy and a girl.
Well, whatever. They sound great.
But yeah, the sensory experience. We talked about journaling last podcast. And one of the things I wrote in my journal that I'm grateful for was one of my gratitudes was a sensory experience. And I told you I reflect on it. And so I had put, I started thinking about culture and started with taste. And taste I was reflecting on that, and I was reflecting on the idea of like, to me, it's the most powerful experience. Like I was thinking about food and how it relates to culture, because it's the only one that we physically allow into our body. And I may be sounding a little bit ridiculous right now, but like sound is passive. So that music, I can't block it out. So that's passive. That's an experience. Lighting is passive. It hits me. Taste, I choose. A lot of times I can choose taste. And what an experience to allow something into your body and into your being. And thinking about that, that's why, like food ties to nostalgia, and you think about restaurants, like that's why restaurants are so powerful and chefs are so important to our culture. Like Anthony Bourdain's Bourdain Day just happened last week, and his birthday, celebrating his birthday, and it's like, how does somebody become so powerful that all they dealt with was food? Well, because food is the most intense, intrusive experience you can have. And so I think businesses, the sensory experience, they don't put enough importance on that. It's all about like, what they're selling. No. It's all of it. It's all of your senses. Yeah. So that's really important, at least in hospitality.
Well, I think it speaks to how it impacts you as the individual. And I think the most successful businesses try to do everything they can to make sure that that make you feel like that they're speaking to you and serving you individually, instead of making you feel like you're just part of this big mass. I mean, Amazon even does that. Netflix does that. Say, YouTube does that, suggesting videos that you would like. And I think,
and they forge the key is they win when they get the connection. When you're connected and you are hooked. Yeah. Then they win, because then it just feels like a one-to-one. Like Netflix is such a good example. You know how Netflix, when you're binge watching, and after a couple shows, it says, "Are you still watching?" And you're like,
"Yes, I'm still."
I should stop. That's like the cue. Like you're probably going too far. But it's talking to you. Yeah. And so you've got that connection, and the best brands do it. The best brands can connect with you, and you're hooked. And
what does that all attest to? building relationships.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, I mean, and I do that, and on just a much smaller scale, obviously. Hopefully it gets bigger than that. But, you know, I have people that are in my mentorship that have been there from day one, and they will never leave. And I would argue that I've taught them everything that I could teach them.
Yeah.
You know, but they're still there because they just feel like they're a part of the process with me. And I also like know them. I've gotten to know them on a personal level. So it's like we're friends now. It's not necessarily like, you know, merchant to customer type of thing. It's like we're all connected. And so if like something's going on in my life, I'll share it with them. And then they're actually genuinely concerned about what's going on with me, and vice versa. Like I'll be like, hey, what's going on, Jesse? And I got one guy, Jesse, he's, you know, into whitewater rafting. That's his business. So like when it's really busy and I haven't seen him in a while, I'll just shoot him a text. Hey, haven't seen you, everything cool? And he'll just be like, yeah, man, things are just busy. Like that kind of stuff, I think is what's going to keep people in the mentorship.
Absolutely.
And why they would probably never leave. Absolutely.
And we talked about it the last podcast, and we talked about when I was like, I'm in a glass box of emotions because I was going through all that other stuff, and to those are the times, the difference making times. And if you think about any great relationship, a lot of like, think about who you've been friends with and who you're really, really tight with. It's because you had a great experience with them. And when I say great, it doesn't have to be positive. Like you went through the toughest time of your life and that person was there, or you experienced the world with them and it was like the coolest thing you ever did and that person was there. It's like they were peak life moments. And that's why I believe like you don't have as many really tight friends when you're older, is because you don't go through those life moments with them. And it takes life moments to make a difference. And so if you as a business, think of Netflix is incredible. Netflix is incredible because people talk about Netflix as if it was a human being. Like I'm gonna Netflix and chill. Like I have a date with Netflix. Right. Like they've done such a good job in such a competitive space where they've found a way to enter your life as is like one of the most important things of your life. To the point where you almost become addicted.
I mean, Netflix has taken the place of regular TV for me, and I know for a lot of other people too. You know, it's a fraction of the cost of what cable TV is, and you know, you get all your favorite shows and you're immersed into that product. Which is, you know, a testament again to just that whole part of just relationships and how much that actually matters to the success of your business.
People are going to get so annoyed with the idea of like, all we do is talk about relationships,
but that's everything.
It's it.
It really is. And I think the thing is, you see a lot of these other big name entrepreneurs, and they really don't talk about that as much. They talk about what you should be doing as an individual, which is very important too. But it's like, how do you connect with people? And it's all about just, I think honestly, just listening.
Well, which leads to know your audience.
Yeah, that's it.
If you listen, if you get to know your audience, if you build a relationship, then you know who you're working with, and you know who to go for. You can see when you find your client, you can see when you find your customer. And then you can identify them really easy and say, hey, that's my customer. And then as you get more and more intricate, if you have the ability to build a relationship specifically to them, then you get a forever client. I mean, the goal is to get a lifetime customer. Like that's the goal of marketing, is to get a lifetime customer who will never leave you. And so the first part, getting them, just saying, okay, I that's the person I want, identify with it. And then if you can really deepen that relationship, like you said, people who will be with your mentorship forever, it's because now you know them and you say, hey, how's it going with this person? How's it going with that person? One thing I think people struggle with is, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, is the idea of like writing down details of people so you remember them. And is it disingenuous if you tell me something that's important and I go back and I write about it and I study notes on you and then I bring it up to you again?
No, I think it's perfectly fine. I think that's how doctors, I mean, you think that doctors remember every little detail about patients? No, they write it down in their notes too. I think it's just you taking a conscious effort to actually care about that individual and make sure that, like, you know, because you don't want to make them feel like that they're just another number, because they really aren't. It's just, how are you going to be able to keep track of all that? And I think just that's showing that you care.
So let me give an example. So let's say you you tell me a piece of information. For example, you're like, I have an interview, right? A week from now, or let's say a month from now. From now, I have an interview. If you have an interview, and then I go in my phone and I put a reminder a month from now to say, ask Brad about his interview. You're totally cool with that?
Yeah.
Because I do it. Some people think it's a little bit disingenuous.
So what's the argument that it's disingenuous? That you're just doing it to use it as a tool to...
That there's more value in just like spontaneously remembering things.
Yeah, but I mean, I think, so it's just like building relationships. It takes work. And part of that work to building that relationship is just making sure that you're reminding yourself to take some time to focus on other people. And I think that, you know, I don't know, I just feel like I don't think it takes away from the, I don't know.
Well, the great news is I agree with you.
Well, no, I'm trying to, it doesn't make you any less genuine. That's what I'm trying to say. It doesn't make you any less genuine because you're writing it down. I think because you're taking that conscious effort to put thought into making sure that you remember about somebody's, whatever event in their personal life.
Oh, I thought you were going to say perspiration.
No, it's not another Bart situation. But like, it's just, I don't know. I see the value in somebody taking the time to actually do that for us.
Yes. All right. So then here's a great point I want to make.
I know I talked myself in a bunch of circles here, but whatever. Sorry.
So no. This is all very valid. I was playing devil's advocate. I'm on board with you. That leads me into something Vali, this is going to be, I'm just going to tell you, this is going to be a packaged good that's going to be so beautiful for everyone. So this right here is what I think is next level management and ownership.
Yeah.
If you can then do that with your team and the people that work with you, where you can start, I believe that a different strategy for incentivizing business is like not to do incentives based on just money, right? Like don't just give a bonus structure based on money. I believe in catered personal bonuses. So, what do I mean? If you like to go fishing, which you do like to go fishing, I know that about you. If you talk to me about fishing and I find, let me just say a rod, and I don't know anything about fishing, but like if we hit our number and I got you like the most high-end fishing rod, what's a good fishing rod cost? What's the best, what's like the Rolls Royce of fishing rods?
I mean, for me, probably between $200 and $500.
So great. If I got you a $500 fishing rod, what impact would that have on you as opposed to if I just gave you $500?
Oh, I mean, it would mean a lot more.
And then every time you use that fishing rod, you'd be like, man, and like, think about this. Every time you use that fishing rod and you had somebody with you who's like, that's a sick fishing rod.
So I'm gonna stop. All right, well, I'm going to stop you there and make you guys wait till next week because I know where you're going with this and it's just going to be too good to where we're just going to keep going off on a tangent. So it's going to be enough to put into the next podcast. So make sure you're tuning in next week to hear what he has to say about, this next chapter, I guess, in this podcast as far as, building relationships and how much they impact the success of your business. So thanks for tuning in. Please, again, as always, like and subscribe to this channel if you want to see more content such as this. And as always, I'll see you before the bell. Go follow @Cashier at Instagram. And that's it, guys. Have a good one.